administration responsible for preserving the German castles. He also gave them a castle as their seat, and that was
all the ships going up and down, they were forced to stop inside of this tricky kind of cities. They were forced to slay.
Is this mines?
They were killed for killing of mines. Whatever they did not sell in their cities, they were allowed
That's right.
to
After a while, they all look the same, right?
That's the way how these frequently cities develop.
Alps, it goes for about 300 kilometers to the Lake Constance at the border between Switzerland and Germany. And when it comes out of the lake again, here is the kilometer zero of the Rhine. Here is kilometer 570. And the last kilometer marker on the Rhine, 1,300, is at the city of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. From time to time you see smaller white posts with black numbers like 9 or 8, the next one is 7. Those are the 100 of meters between the kilometer markers. See the small white post with a black cross? That's half a kilometer, 569.5. Two more beautiful castles are coming up next. If you pay attention, in front of the ship will be on the left side, all the way on top of the hill. You can see already one of the castles, the castle of Starrenburg and Liebenstein, the so-called the castles of the enemy brothers, are coming up on our left. I'll tell you more about it when we get closer to them. Thank you.
You can hear the church bells in the village.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'll be the whole morning up here on the sun deck in the captain's wheelhouse. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come and ask. Thank you.
Must be 9:30 Mass. This is Sunday morning, so.
I can hear him now, Mom.
Okay. Aren't they?
On top of the hill, you can see already the towers of the castles, the castle of Starrenberg and the castle of Liebenstein. The local legend says that the lord of the castle of Starrenberg had two sons, Henry and Conrad. And he took in an orphan relative, the little girl of Angela. The three of them grew up together as good friends, and later on, of course, both of the boys fell in love with Angela. The older one, Henry, behaved and he did not declare his love, but Conrad decided to get engaged with Angela. Unfortunately, at that time, a crusade was organized here in the Rhineland, and Conrad decided to postpone his marriage with Angela and to go to Jerusalem to fight the infidel. That happened in the 13th century, 1200s. Both of them who were left behind, Angela and Henry, behaved themselves. They lived in the first castle that you see on top of the first hill in Starrenberg, and they waited for the return of Conrad. Conrad returned 3 years later with a beautiful Greek wife. Of course, Angela was heartbroken. She decided to retire to a monastery, and that's the monastery that is just below the castle here in the valley. At the moment you see the white tower of the church of the monastery, able to see the entire one. So she spent her last years in the monastery. Finally she died of a broken heart. The same happened with the older brother, with Henry, a few years later. It looks like that the Greek wife ran away with Conrad's best friend only 3 years after they got married. The first castle, the one you see now better with the white tower, the castle of Starrenberg, was built in the 12th century. It was left in ruins after the line of the Counts of Starrenberg died out in 1568, and it was restored by the state of Rhineland-Palatine, where we cruise at the moment. It is open to the public as a restaurant and as a hotel. So now you can see much better the monastery, the big grey building now on our left, where Angela retired, became a nun, and later on died. The other castle that you see a bit it's so dark, is made of brown until the Romantic movement started, 1840s. At the moment is privately owned, partly is inhabited by the owner, and partly is open for tourists as a little hotel and a restaurant. And now you can see better Starrenberg, the white one, and Liebenstein, the brown one. And in a few minutes you'll be able to see also the wall.
And sure enough, there's the castles with the wall between them. And again, the busy Rhine River Valley. This is called the Rhine Gorge that we're in. We basically entered it early this morning after after Cologne. We've been in the gorge ever since.
We got tracks on both sides of the river.
Yeah.
Expressway Valley on the other side.
This is an advantage of demonstration of rail, car, and boat transportation. Yeah, I'm a mountain man myself. If I had my druthers, I'd be living in Montana or...
Well, we were in Alaska. We took a boat cruise through the mountain parts, and oh my! We did it down in someplace else, down in South America somewhere. Man, it was pretty.
Yeah.
And we stopped, and all of them were weeping. You had water coming out of them.
It must have been Patagonia. Did you go? Was
Yep.
that in Patagonia?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But oh, it was beautiful. Got a picture of Pat and the whole background of a falls, but it wasn't a big falls. It was just water running down the whole side of that hill.
It's like a weeping veil or
Yes.
whatever you want
Yep,
to call it.
I go along with that.
Okay, now he's starting to move again.
He might have had a delay because of the train in front of him. He might be going
Yeah.
faster than that train.
Okay, where's the engine?
Yeah,
Must
it's
be
not
in
like
there.
it's not like our 100-car train. See,
Yeah.
we get a lot of those. We got a coal-burning power plant, Scirocco 1, 2, and 3, and they take 100 cars twice a day now. And
Yep.
it's amazing to watch them dump those cars. They just tilt them like this and dump them like you would a erector set.
Yeah. Do they even stop? They do. Huh?
They slow down. They don't quite stop. But
Yeah.
the problem was they used to have some Native Americans hop aboard because it was warmer and bury themselves underneath the coal. So they hired dogs, and they still had problems.
Oh my gosh.
They dumped a couple of them. So now they've gone to some kind of automatic. It's sound and X-ray that it does.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is in there breathing, they can usually hear it. They haven't had any casualties, maybe in the last year or two. But boy, when they first opened up, they had 2 or 3 a year that would get dumped.
More church bells. It's Sunday morning. That makes sense.
Yeah. But our Native Americans are having trouble. We got one tribe that has had 25 deaths from overdoses of oxycodone
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
They ran out of the anti-drug. There's a drug they can give them that'll stop
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and save their life. The hospital ran out of it. Narcotin or something? Pat knows, but they have
Yeah.
had a problem. They actually asked the government for help. But what gets me mad is that we have tried. The churches always stand out. I love that. And look at that one with the light coming in. It's facing the morning sun, so that part of the church is going to be lit up.
Yeah.
But we have about 3 major tribes. We have more casinos than that, but 3 big casinos where the tribes get a lot of money from the casinos. But the one in southern Minneapolis gets the most because it's closest to the largest population. The other one that we go to is about a 2-hour drive away. It's 90 miles away.
What tribe is that?
So now that we are closer, you can see this big white building in front of the church. The church is just behind it, attached to the building. You see the little tower in the back with the rooster on top. And try to figure out where is the entrance in the church. After we pass it, you see better the church, the yellow part of the building. It is a sign on the little wall here saying that the whole building is for sale. In case you'd like to buy it, you have the telephone number there. So where is the entrance in the church? We already passed it. This is the back of the building. Believe it or not, the only entrance in the church is through the pub in front of it. Where you see the stairs going up there, through the pub, through the restaurant. That's the only way to go inside of the church. A few years ago, the priest was also the mayor of the town and the postman. For the ages, all of these castles belonged to the lords of the area, which were friends of the emperor himself. They paid taxes to the emperor. They provided soldiers to the imperial army, and everybody living below the castle in the houses that you see here in the valley on our left, for example, all these people living here in the valley, they belonged to the lord of the castle. The people here were allowed to work for themselves 4 days a week. The rest, 3 days of the week, they had to work for the lord of the castle for free, either working in the castle or in the fields or in the vineyards, or working to maintain the river navigable and so on. In return, the lord of the castle would allow to the people in the valley to run up to the castle and hide in the courtyards in case an enemy army came into this region. Many of the castles that we see today, they were built along the Rhine River in order to collect taxes from the passing ships. In the medieval times, it was easy to navigate downstream, as you can imagine. The boat went down with the power of the stream, but to go up the river, the boat had to be pulled up either by a team of 10 strong men or 4. This castle was the only castle which was successfully defeated against the French troops of Louis XIV when he came down the valley in 1689. Unfortunately, the French troops returned 2 years later in greater number, and the garrison of the castle ran away, surrounding the castle without a fight. The French then systematically destroyed the castle, leaving it much in ruins, more or less as you see it nowadays. At the moment, Rheinfels Castle is owned by the nearby town of Saint-Goar, and it is open to the public. You can visit the local history museum, you can go to a hotel or to the youth hostel or to the restaurant, and you also can visit the huge underground galleries. The Rheinfels Castle on our right from 1245. Very soon is coming up on the left one smaller castle, the Castle of Katz, and just around the corner.
Again, it must be Sunday.
The castle was rebuilt in the 1860s and at the moment houses a boarding school. The view from the castle to the Lorelei Rock is one of the best on the river. The Lorelei Rock is coming up soon. You also can see that here the river gets at the narrowest point and at the deepest one. You can see that in front of us we have a cargo ship going very, very slowly, only with 6 kilometers an hour, 4 miles an hour. The river is not wide enough for us to go in front of it. So for the next probably hour, we have to slow down and follow the cargo ship in front of us.
Yeah, push it. Right?
See, the river becomes very narrow here. It is only 100 meters wide, maybe 330 feet wide. Lots of strong currents and dangerous whirlpools are right here at this corner. So that makes navigation very difficult. Lots of sailors died here near the Lorelei Rock. That's why the local agent here, the beautiful girl sitting up there, singing and enjoying the sailors, they forgot what they were supposed to do and crash in the rocks and right here. So the Lorelei Rock is just up there all the way on top, but if you look more to your left-hand side, at the tip of the peninsula, where you see the German flag, it is a small statue made of black stone, of course, a bit hard to be seen. You see some people here at the tip of the peninsula, just behind them. It is a statue made of black stone, and that is the famous Lorelei Hill. The statue was set up here only a few years ago, and the project was financed by the Japanese. And took Lorelei away forever. To celebrate passing through this dangerous part of the river and to pass the Rhine Gorge safe, we want to celebrate with a glass of famous Rudesheim coffee. My colleagues from the bar are coming around with coffee with Axbach brandy. Here really has to concentrate. As I mentioned, there are lots of strong currents and rocks coming out from the bed of the river. He is not allowed to pass by the cargo ship in front of us. We have to go a bit slower, and some other ships are coming downstream as well.
Coming up to the Lorelei Rock on the left-hand side here. Pull up a trip.
And he let us go first, otherwise the whole program in the afternoon would be a big problem. But now we can go, and now you see better on our left-hand side, all the way on top where the flags are. That's the rock, that's the place where the Lorelei used to sit and sing. Only a few moments, and if you pay attention to your left, right above the river, you will be able to see a white stone with black letters where it says Lorelei. Right above that is the place where she used to sit and sing.
You'll still get it, I think. You just have to, yeah. There you go. Well, again, I don't know if you heard, but this is the deepest part of the ride, but also the narrowest part of the ride. Like a partial island front there. Looks like he's gonna grease. Yep, he's gonna grease up that roller. There's the rocks in the middle of the river. I guess that's why the Lorelei was so dangerous. They say there was whirlpools there too. They maintain this good continuously. You see these guys going round and round, working on the cranes on the side of the ship. They have lifting lift cranes. They bring in the provisions and put out the ramps and everything. Beautiful, beautiful city.
As you know, already in 1689, after the old town survived, and it is considered one of the most romantic villages in the Rhine Gorge.
Medieval towers here. He said there's 16 original, and of the 16, 12 remain. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4.
The castle coming up on our right hand side on top of the hill, direction 1 o'clock. Schönburg Castle, which literally means the beautiful castle, was donated by the emperor himself, the Emperor Barbarossa, to one of his officials in 1166. That's the time when the castle was first mentioned in an official document, 1166. The emperor gave the right to the counts to collect taxes from the passing ships, and that made the lord of the castle one of the richest along the river. The castle, of course, it was destroyed by the French and rebuilt at the end of the romantic movement in the 1860s. Nowadays, it is open to the public. They have a youth hostel and a restaurant up there. The church coming out on our right-hand side is the Church of Our Lady from the 1335.
campers. More wine orchards here. Most of the wine that comes out of this Rhine Valley is Riesling. It's a Riesling grape or whatever it is. Grows well here.
First vineyard in this area, which covers about 300 acres. So it is not only what you see here on the left about the river, but goes also inside on the slopes of the mountains, a little bit more inland. The castle of Gutenfels that you see about the town of Kau was first mentioned in the 14th century, but the name Gutenfels actually comes only from the year 1503, when the castle was successfully defeated for an entire year, when an enemy army came in to take over the castle. Unfortunately, the castle was destroyed and sold as a stone quarry by the French troops of Napoleon, this time for a change. It was the beginning of 1900, and now it is open as a hotel. The city, the town of Kau is also known as the crossing point, because this is the place where the Prussian army, led by the general, crossed the frozen line right here, sending the Italian troops back to France during the New Year's Eve between 1813 and 1814. If you pay attention on the left shores, so very soon you will be able to see the statue of the Prussian commander pointing the place where he crossed the river, sending away the Napoleon troops in 1814 after they were defeated in Moscow. We have a great picture of the fortress in the river with the vineyards, the town, and the castle up above. That will be after we pass it, we have to turn a bit towards the back. That's the greatest picture of this place.
No, you're fine. I go right above you.
Okay, good.
Okay?
like cello, violin, piano. Here, one xylophone, and entire drum kit here. It should approach as close as possible the sound of a real-life orchestra, so it plays a little louder. Doris Day, que sera, sera, or whatever will be, will be. And back in those days, without electricity, the volume wasn't yet adjustable here. When the music was too loud, they simply put a pillow here inside of the horn to make it softer. Now we return back to the orchestras. This instrument is the highlight of this room. We have here a Poloist violina. It was presented to public in the year 1909 on a music fair here in Germany in a city called Leipzig. In this music fair, the people spoke about the eighth wonder of the world. Now we find out why. Gothic vault, here you can see some frescoes with the coat of arms of the Bronze Knights. And then in two of the walls, the biblical story of Iona and the whale. Over there, Iona is swallowed, and here Iona is set upon the shore with the German panorama, the city of Mainz. Because the frescoes are from a local painter. We don't know the name, but we know which year. The frescoes date back 1559. And in this room we have our German Bechstein reproducing grand piano. It's a self-playing piano. We can play it normally, but also with the paper roll, with the perforations for the notes. Let's hear how it sounds. Let's listen the Dream of Love of Franz Liszt. They are all original ones. Here we have a secret gun. Every time someone pulls the trigger, a little bird pops out, witness a melody, and return back into the gun. It is still in working order nowadays. It dates back 1811. And next to the gun, we have some little snuff boxes. They are still produced in our workshop. You can see that in our shop later. I say now. It needs to eat. Let's listen how it sounds. section of mechanical music, we have
This kind of gives you an idea of the relative speed that we're going on the boat. Roughly, I think about 25 knots is what they cruise at, which is a pretty good pace, although it goes up and down because of conditions on the river, the traffic, which is a major issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, before entering on the Rhine, which means the snake, as the shape of the river is like a gigantic W, like a snake. The Rhine River is 384 kilometers long, about 240 miles long, and the last kilometer marker is here at the confluence with the Rhine River. Very soon you will be able to see that the Rhine is narrower and calmer, and is the so-called the German equator, as it divides Germany into two. We are going to have 34 locks along 380 kilometers. That means approximately one lock at each 11 kilometers, one lock at each hour from today until we reach the Danube in about 4 days. Thank you for your attention and welcome to the Rhine River.
Well, I guess that explains it. We are now leaving the Rhine River and going onto the Main River. And we'll be on the Main for 4 days, with 34 locks between us and the Danube.